All right, I guess we're on. Well, folks on eBay, or no, not eBay, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Islands. Give yourselves a round of applause so we can come on home. All right. We will put on President of the Guild. Just a couple of months left in my tenure. No. Oh, no, thank you. Appreciate your confidence in me, but I'm withering away. Before we start, do I have any visitors tonight? This is your first time visiting the Guild. If you would stand up. Stand up. No visitors? All right. Do we have any brand new members? They've just joined in the last month or so. Stand up. Be recognized. All right. Thank you. So your white name badge is going to eventually turn green? Right? Okay, good. All righty. Let's see, we'll go through some officer reports. The president has nothing to report. Calvin, you have anything to report as vice president? Okay. Secretary, Mike, you have anything to report? Nothing, everything's in order. So if you do want to check out minutes and financials of the Guild business, we do keep binders in the library. We're very open about what we spend and how we conduct our meetings and all that, so feel free to look in those. Tim Lux, our member at large, he has sent a proxy for the nominating committee. You want to go to green? All right.
Welcome. How many of you have been helped as an officer of the Guild previously?
Or right now.
Or current?
Yeah.
Okay, see all the people that do not have hands up? Guess what? No, we seriously, we're looking for someone to help run communications. Ron has done a tremendous job, and he's got a great group put together already. So it pretty much runs itself anymore, right, Ron? Right. Ron's back there nodding his head a lot. And we need somebody to run as safety director. And again, safety director, all the heavy lifting's already been done. It was done even before our current safety director arrived. But those two positions in particular, stepping up for president, well, we'll give the nomination report when it comes time to do that. We won't bother with that right now. But if you're interested in either safety or communication director, please come see me.
And also, if you maybe have an inkling that maybe you want to help out, all of the officers in the leadership committee are always looking for assistance. And that way, if you try it out for a year and say, hey, this isn't for me, that's fine. The terms are 2 years long. And so it is you get your feet wet the first year, you learn what you're doing, and then you can really screw it up the second year. All righty, moving on. Gary Melky, our treasurer, says we have money. We've paid all our bills. We're good. All right. What's on? And the lights are on. There we go. Assets, Chuck Saunders. He's sitting at a table back in the back. You may have seen the DeWalt saws. There's other goodies back there. Come on back. He'll sell you. If you don't buy anything, he's got a box of old rasp and files that you will have to take one if you don't buy anything. All right. Communications, Ron Hall has a good-sized committee, but we do have Facebook. We are at, is it KCWWG on Facebook. We also have the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild group on Facebook, Instagram, Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, Twitter, KCW Guild. We got them all covered. Also on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. For you folks at home who are just tuning in, subscribe and you'll be notified of all the videos that we send out. We also, is Kevin Thomas here tonight? No, he's ill, okay. We do have Woodwards the podcast. Kevin leads that up, and you also get those on YouTube as well. Let's see, librarian, Don, magazines, and they're a whopping $0.25 a piece, or 5 for $1, or 10 for $1, or you're one of them. Donations are accepted. All righty. Events, Chris, nothing to report. All righty. Membership, Jim Berard tells me that we have right now 991 members. We've had 733 renewals. Our annual churn, we usually lose around 20 to 22% when people move away. People find out that woodworking's not for them. People die. And so we'll probably end up around 750 to 760 at the end of the renewal period, sign up period. Yes?
While you get them online, remind them if they don't renew by the end of this month.
That's going to be the next. So yeah, if you're a member with a green name badge, that you have shop privileges. If you don't renew by February 28th, you will have to take your test again. So if you do renew by the end of February, you won't have to take any more tests. But if you forget, I've had a person, oh, I didn't come in last year, but I just want to get my badge, and like, sorry, you have to take your test all over again. Well, that's not fair. Well, okay. Let's see. Matt, programs for next month will be wood carving. All righty. Who's doing that? Dennis Bixby. Oh, okay. That'll be good. Mike Jones is not here for safety. Mike Rufteretti, how many people have you done so far this year?
So far this year, we've done
27 people this year, beginning of the year. And you've got, what, another 10 or 15 scheduled? 23 new spots. Very nice. Dwayne, sponsorship, anything to add?
Lee Nielsen is sending in the check for renewal for this year, and there's a bunch of stuff sitting back there on the table.
Okay, Lee Nielsen has sent in a renewal check for their sponsorship. Very nice. And there's a bunch of stuff back on the raffle table. Also, Amazon Smile. So if you buy anything on Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com, search for the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, and 0.5% of your purchase price will come to the Guild as a donation every quarter. It does not raise your price on the items that you buy on Amazon. Training, Norm, see here? Nope. We do have classes coming up. There's a great finishing class coming up next week. I do. Basic woodworking is continuing. There's a clock making class.
Real quick, who's this?
Who has the big knife? Okay. Oh yeah, you have to fill that out. No. Is it for sale? Oh, no, okay. That was grandma's, all right. Back on the calendar, they got a 4-month running calendar back there. Most of the classes, I think, I got put up there. If you have any ideas for classes, talk to the training director, Norm Carpenter, and he will try to get a class set up in the next year or so. Moving on to the special interest groups for the visitors, we call them SIGs, Special Interest Group. So woodcarver, have any woodcarvers here? Nope. Well, that SIG meets on the 4th Tuesday of the month from 6 to 9, generally over here in classroom number 2. CNC SIG. Gary, anything going on in the next one? Had a beautiful meeting yesterday, the 3rd Tuesday of the month from 6:30 to 7:30, and they meet back in the library or in the CNC room at the back of the hall. Hand tools. Anything coming up? Fourth Sunday of the month. Starting a multi-session project using hand tools. So we're going to make a project from scratch, rough stock, but doesn't know what the project is. This puts the work in woodworking. Very cool. And we have hand planes back there for sale too. A little TLC and you'll be ready for them. Chuck, first Sunday of the month is the Power Tool Restoration SIG. Anything going on? No. All right. John Tegler. There he is. Come on up here, John. John leads the Scroll Saw SIG the second Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Generally, they meet right in classroom number 2 at the Scroll Saws or in the library.
Either one. Yes, John Tegler's my name, and the we finally have been able to put together a schedule for the rest of the year. January, February, and March, nothing has been planned, but on April the 9th, we're going to have introduction to scroll saw class, which will take place there. And 3 people, and there's a $25 fee, and it'll get you started. And then typically we meet on the, what? Yeah, the second one. That comes with maturity and wisdom. On the second Wednesday, we generally have a scroll saw special interest group meeting, which is right there in that room. And we hope to get that going again. So if anybody has an interest in scrolling, you can touch base with me at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, and finally, a brand new SIG. Its first meeting will be April 27th, the 4th Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. It is the Laser SIG. Behind the curtain here, we have our brand new, ooh, the people will marvel. Green?
How many of you know we had a good laser engraver? How many of you have been trained on it so far? There's a few. We've got 16 people trained so far. And we're doing training every Wednesday. We've also thrown in a couple Sundays and what was the other day I did? I was in here one day and somebody needed some training. They couldn't make it on a Wednesday. But mostly we're doing training on Wednesday evenings. We're doing 2 sessions, so we do 4 people at a time. And we go through, teach you all the rules, show you the equipment, show you the buttons, show you which ones to use. The one that you don't use is menu. Everyone repeat after me. Don't touch menu.
Don't touch menu.
Thank you. That's the one thing I was warned. They said if you get people going in the menu, even out of curiosity, they can totally reset the machine, and then we'll be spending hours online with people out of Ohio trying to get it reset. So don't touch the menu. Just that simple. If there was a way I could disable it, I would, but I can't. But we're going to be working on getting people trained between now and the 4th Wednesday in April. 4th Wednesday of April, we will actually meet and have our first official SIG. So if you're interested, Curtis, stand up. My partner in crime is Dr. Curtis Alexander, and he just texted me 2 seconds ago and said he's got time for a class tomorrow. So what time you want to have it, Doc? He's willing to do it in the middle of the day. So if you want to come in at 9 o'clock in the morning, you'll spend an hour and a half. He'll get your names. You can do it then. If you're already signed up, you probably want to go ahead and wait for the official one, but whatever you want to do. But Doc's willing to get you trained tomorrow. So if you want to come in, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. And just 4 people.
4 people.
Yeah.
First 4 that show up. Mention the key. The foremen have the key. It's on a lanyard, and they have it. You have a little rabbit that shows you've been trained. So if you don't have the rabbit, they're not going to give you the key. Just that simple. And it's not a rabbit that you can go find off eBay or something like that. We actually had these special made.
So they're not multiplying?
They're not multiplying.
They're neutered.
But I have plenty of them. Well, my daughter is a printer by trade, and she has to warm up the machine and try out something.
And why are we using
way farther than that?
why are we using a rabbit on the?
Well, the rabbit is actually the logo. If I get over here fast enough.
It's the brand name of the machine. So. Yeah.
We have a rabbit as our logo. So it's the laser's actually made in China, but this guy found out about them, has ordered from. Started out, he ordered 3 for his. He wanted to be able to sell one so he could make his money back. Instead, he accepted 5, sold all 5 of them, accepted the next order of 10, sold the next 10 of them. He never got one until the 3rd time around, even though he'd started by ordering them. So, but that's the story of how that works. But anyway, just wanted to let you know that if you want to get trained, Sign Up Genius is where to find it. Right now, every class until April, the end of April, is full. Unless you want to come in at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, maybe a snow day at school tomorrow. Question? That's right. The weather could be bad tomorrow. So, but you have a big truck, don't you, Curtis? Yeah. All righty. Just to let you know, our next guild meeting will be the day before St. Patrick's Day on Wednesday, March 16th. So get your calendars set now. And now we're going to go to show and tell. Jim Bainey. Oh, the turf box build. Still looking for some helpers in building that. Again, that's on Sign Up Genius as well. There's several time slots over several days in which you can volunteer your time. Projects like this do help keep our dues low. Because of projects like this, we have not had to raise our dues for a few years now. So, and Gary. Yeah, so Gary's the shop foreman, opens up tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and check your emails before you venture out down here. So if he's not here, there won't be an open shop. Question? Mm-hmm. Right. I'm not sure. Yes, they got that changed. Okay, so if you want to sign up for multiple days, yeah. But I think they're all full so for now. Alrighty, so now, I saw another hand over here for a question. No? Okay. Now we're ready to move on to show and tell. For those people who brought show and tell items, if you'd head over to get your show and tell items ready, and I'll turn this over to the illustrious Jim Bainey.
Does a question? Does anybody here own a Festool bench vacuum press? Okay. They have yeah. Mhm. I guess it's a vacuum holder. I'm thinking about yeah. Gotta let my wife know here pretty soon, so yeah. I can't complain because she splurged on a domino, a Festool domino for me for Christmas, so I guess I'll let her stick around for another few months.
So you're going to get her this vacuum? You know, this doesn't do floors, right?
I haven't thought of that yet. Yeah. I'm a little. That one's breaking out. Is this on? Okay. So I spent yesterday and today on the phone with Iona SawStop, and it quit. And it's, this is an electronic marvel, so it's just full of electronics. I spent 3 hours yesterday and 3 hours today on the phone with customer service from Festool, and they didn't figure it out, but I finally figured out what was going on, because when I'd raise the blade up, it would go into the stop position, and I'd lower it, and the green light would come on, and what is going on? So I told them about it. They said, well, the last thing we can do is send you a new cord that goes from the component to the switch. So they said, we'll send you instructions on how to put that in. I have literally had to take the saw all apart. I took the top off. Yeah. So, the great part about it is I'll be able to keep all my fingers, but It's got a downside with all the electronics in it. I'm telling you. Anyway, so that's what's been going on with me, other than having COVID last month, so I wasn't here. And no big deal. So doing fine. Who wants to come up first? Who has the vice? Roland, you want to talk about this?
Well, I'm a bit taller than some people around here and working on okay. I'm a bit taller than some people around here and trying to do dovetails on this low of a bench hurts my back. And so I said, I want a Moxon vise that raises everything up. And basically, it's a small workbench. Got end vise, Moxon vise, full length across the front. I don't know if you can see from the top. You got that, Chris? This vise is John. Where's John? Right over there. It's one of the raffle. It's one of the raffle kits, and this works great. I used on the jaws. There's some stuff they call crubber. It's a rubberized cork mix, and that, I mean, when you put something in there and tighten that down, it doesn't move. It's tight. I've got a double row of dogs running this way. I've got a lined up on the Moxon vise. I also line up with that. And I can use holdfast to hold things down with it, or bench dogs. And I can also, on my workbench, I can use either the dogs to hold it in place or the holdfast to hold it in place. And it doesn't go anywhere. It weighs about 60 pounds by itself.
Where do you buy this?
There's a couple different places online.
What's it called?
Crubber.
Crubber?
Mm-hmm. Cork rubber. And it comes in a.
When you buy it, does it come with adhesive in the back?
No.
Or you have to mount it?
You have to put your own contact cement on.
Okay.
And if I had it to do over again, I probably would make it 3.5 inches shorter because the pieces only come 36 inches long, and so I've got a couple of seams in here, but it's okay to have seams.
Okay, so the height of this is meant for when you're working on dovetails?
Yeah.
Is hand cutting dovetails?
Hand cutting.
Or a jig?
Yeah. A hand cutting dovetails.
Okay.
It's also the front of the feet is lined up with the front of this. So when I put it to like if I was to put it on the front of this bench, I'd line that up, and then I can lock in and everything stays straight and square. Made it out of solid beech. That's why it weighs about 60 pounds.
Where'd you get the beech from?
That was just Metro. Finish is just paste wax. That's all I've done on that for finish. And I use it at work every day. And
how long ago did you build this?
I built it November into December. And then, of course, I got COVID too last month. So I couldn't bring it in last month for show and tell. But
okay,
it's been fun, and I've used it at work quite a few times, and yeah, the work I normally have don't necessarily need that, but I tell you what, nothing like having extra vices around to clamp things down with.
Roland, where'd you get the dime?
Right up here. Just Just take a picture. Actually,
How many fingers do you see?
I've actually thought about teaching a class on this. And kind of the concept I'm thinking is to take the class, the cost is going to be the cost of 2 sets of material, and you make one in class as a, and leave it for the guild to have around here. So we could have 3 or 4 of these around here, and then one kit for yourself.
Any other questions?
I've found that I like machines a lot quicker, but it is just to be available to. There's just so many things you can glue up better and easier with when you have such a long vise.
So do you have a dovetail jig?
I have one on order.
What kind?
Is the Lee DR4.
DR4?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's
How many people have Lee dovetail jigs? Quite a few. We ought to have a demo on how to use those, because every time I use mine, I got to go back and look at the
yeah.
That's an idea. Roland's going to need one.
Yeah. I'm going with actually going to end up with a D4. Yeah. But
That was contact cement that you used to put the rubber on?
yeah, contact cement. And I've got a gallon of the real old stuff that is actually the good stuff, not the water base.
With the VOCs at about 100.
But it works great.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Nice job.
We've had a complaint from our neighbors across the street that some of our people have parked over there and they can't get their in and out. So
They're parked in front of the doors.
well, no, this is across the street.
Yeah.
The medical people,
Okay.
and so they're like whoever parked over there. We've had a complaint from our neighbors across the street. Anyone that parked in that parking lot that is directly across the street from us, can you please move your car?
Is that up against the building?
Yes. Well, no. Anything. If you parked, you can. In their parking lot across the street.
So we can't use that parking lot at all?
No, not anymore, because the medical people are over there and they're there 24/7.
Okay. We need to put a sign up out there because
Yeah.
If you're over here, you're fine. So you can park over in front of us over there. Not during the day.
okay. So, Russ, who's next?
Because it won't matter if they miss this.
You know, those are my cutting boards there. You might want to put that cleaver over on the other table when you're done.
Test run. It sticks real good. So I brought my piece of paper to remind me what I did.
Okay, Jim, tell us about it.
Well, this is Grandma's meat cleaver. And I took the knife making class, and that was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. And so I had a small scrap of walnut flooring and Grandma's meat cleaver with no handle on it. And I used to use it to chop wood with no handle on it. I mean, that was, yeah. And the challenge on this was the tang, the long, is tapered. It's half as thick at this end as it is up here. So it was kind of strange getting it together and stuff. So anyway, and then I shaped it to fit my little tiny hand, and I carry this in the car instead of a firearm. But I learned a lot about Foster Brothers cleavers. I looked them up, and there's a number stamped on it, 118, and they have a different number for each size and aspect ratio and weight. There's a big chart you can go in there, and there's little ones, there's bigger ones, and this one's kind of a bigger one. So, and it was so rusty, I put it on a belt sander to get the rust off. And but anyway, it was kind of fun. It was a quickie. Sorry.
Any questions about that from anybody?
Go ahead.
Dave, or did you want to bring some stuff up?
Good evening, everybody. We have a couple of things going on here. For show and tell, I made some knife blanks, or a knife, and this little knife here was from Woodcraft. And I also make knife scales. And the reason why these were brought here today, or tonight, is I'm 95% sure that I'm doing a skill builder in March on resin casting. So the first Saturday, I believe it is, from 2 to 4. So we're going to get right into casting. Like after 10 or 15 minutes of me talking, we're going to cast. I'm going to throw things in the pressure pot, explain about urethanes, epoxies, knife handles, pin resin blanks, right? How to make different pens. This one here is a pheasant pen, where I took pheasant feathers and glued them to a tube, and then put it in a pressure pot with epoxy. This one here is also another pheasant. It was tasty too. North Korea cheese cream sauce. Oh man, that was awesome. Sorry. Here's another pheasant for you. Pen. And this one here.
2 years ago.
Was it? Yeah. All right. And here's a watch part pin. And this one here was done by taking watch gears and bending them. First I took a blank like this, and I turned it undersized. Then I put glued the gears in, I believe, with super glue. And after it cured for 24 hours, I then cast it in clear epoxy and turned it again. So if anyone want to see this watch part pin, it's right there. Not now. So your blocks come about this big from measure blanks. All right, so I'm going to show you how to put them in here. I'm going to show you how to use red Maui Bull and put it in there in different colored resins. Are there any questions? So it's going to be on Saturday, fast-paced class if you want to come see how this is done, if you're interested in making your own pen blanks or knife blanks. And I have some other ones up here too that I'll have on display. The first Saturday of the month in March is from 2 to 4. I'm sorry? March 5th. And here's what the pen blanks look like before you cut them. You can make a big old brick. And you get like 5 or 6 blanks depending if you want 3/4 or 7/8 inch square. That's about it. A blank costs you about $2.60 to make now. The resin prices have gone up. So you're not really saving any money, but you have bragging rights. You know what I mean? So if you're going to sell this pen, you're putting a technique in it. Now I can charge you more. This pen right here, the watch part pen, during the pandemic in April, I sold for $165. My first pen. They said, how much you want for it? About $165. Okay, cool. Set my PayPal account. They send me the money. I sent them the pen. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. During the pandemic. So yeah, you can, if you have a technique of what you do in woodworking, you can sell your technique. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. I guess I don't need to ask if you've got your raffle tickets, right?
No, I'm letting someone else win tonight.
Wait, you filled your whole shop up with what you won in the raffle, so I can see
This
why.
is true. No, I helped donate to the other guild thing. Tool sale. I donated for that.
Okay, which you previously won in the raffle.
Probably.
Okay, next. Okay.
Some of you may have already seen this, but it's a little laser box that I made off the rabbit laser that we have. It's just made out of a 1/4-inch Baltic birch. I, got some vector designs off the internet, placed those on there, and then cut it out. Everything's cut off with the laser. It's friction fit, no glue. It has a lid on it with the guild logo on it, and it's a 2-part lid. Got pins that are holding it together, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. Enjoyed doing it
Cut the box joints.
with the laser.
Cut those with the laser?
Everything you see here is laser, engraved and cut. Yeah,
There's no glue.
no glue. You could. It's pretty tight. I had to use a little hammer to kind of put it together, persuade it to get it together. But
Wow. 2 foot by 36. 901 millimeters by 619 millimeters.
yeah. So, just something to show you what can be done with it. A lot of things can be done with it. I enjoy using it. So,
Questions?
Anchor going to be interested in those boxes?
I'm sorry?
Our scroll saw guy, he's going to go back to making boxes for
John?
special condiments.
He wanted you to make some boxes and put your special condiments in there.
Does she still remember that? We'll never forget that.
John's been to Colorado a few times.
so if anybody's interested in taking a class in the morning with me, let me know tonight. That'd be good. Already got one guy signed up for it. And we're having a good time with those classes. Be sure to come to the SIG when we start that. If you guys do any projects in between time and have any particular projects or settings that you found work good, be sure and write those down and bring them with you so you can share them with everybody else.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So these are my projects. Over the last couple of months, I've been able to spend a lot of time in the shop. One of the things I've always been intrigued with is cutting boards, because I tend to keep all the scrap in a pile. At the end of the year, I make cutting boards out of them. I started out with this one, which is called a weave. And it's the first project I've ever done using the metric system, because I had to divide the pieces in thirds, which is hard to do with our traditional measuring system. So what I had to do is each piece had to be a third as long and width as the long pieces. And then the hard part about that was each individual piece had to be glued up. So I had to really hurry with the with gluing it up. So I gave it to my wife, and she put it on a display up on top of the TV set in the kitchen. And then I got looking online, and I saw what they also call this a weave pattern. And I took some scrap from old cutting boards in the middle, and basically what you do is you overlap it, the pieces, and use double back tape, and then make one cut so you have a mirror image cut with when you make the cuts, so you can glue it back together. So each one of these lines is an individual cut, and then I had to glue it back before I started on the next one. If I had to do this one over again, I'd make the strips the same width as the kerf on the bandsaw. That would have made it. They would have lined up at the intersections a little bit better. This is Peruvian walnut, by the way. It's almost cheaper than American walnut now. So my wife said, well, you know, I built a new kitchen for last year, and there's a space up above the ceiling. She says, how'd you like to make enough cutting boards to cover that whole area? I said, well, how about if I start with 2? Then for Valentine's Day, I was looking for something that my wife doesn't exactly have a green thumb. And that's putting it mildly. So I saw a wood smith article about these little containers that hold what's called succulent plants. And they're plants that don't require a lot of water. And I said, that's just perfect for her. So I started out, I found a couple of slabs of sycamore, and I glued them together. When in that process, I used a 2.5-inch hole saw, and I cut a hole, and I made a template for the top, and I used a router jig, a router bit with a spacer on the top to cut that hole. That was a lot of work, and it filled up right away. And so I said, there's got to be an easier way to cut that hole. And so I purchased a 2.5-inch Forstner bit, and that worked. But the first set of these that I made, I took it in, and I had the flowers in them already. I went up to Family Tree and got some flowers, and I moistened them down and put some water in it after I put the dirt in. And a day later, I looked, and they were split apart. And I'm going, and my wife said, yeah, way to go. So I couldn't figure out what I had done. And then I thought back. I said, well, I didn't seal the inside of that, and I didn't use waterproof glue. So I took them out to the shop, and I took them apart, and I cut them in half right down where they split, and I glued them back together using waterproof glue. And so in the meantime, I made a second set of these in case that didn't work, and I had to replace them. So as long as I've been around woodworking, you'd think I'd know how to use waterproof glue when you put moisture. Anyway, there's any questions about it? Good. I guess we're done. Thanks.
Thank you, John. And if you get a chance, come up and look at that. He'll have them over here on the table during break, but that is absolutely gorgeous on there. Okay, we're going to take a break. How long? 10 minutes? All right. Be sure to stop by Chuck's table back there. If you don't buy anything, pick up your free rasp or file. And also the raffle table. There's plenty of good stuff back on the raffle table now. The cookies and sodas are behind the wall here, and we'll see you back in about 10 minutes.
Okay, guys, online, I'm going to play the Dave Kratz podcast video, and we're going to go through this a little bit until it's time for our presentation, guys. Hope you enjoy it.
This is Woodwords the podcast, a production of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, with host Kevin Thomas and producer Chris McCauley. Here's your host, Kevin Thomas.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be our final Woodwords podcast here for the year of 2021. And today we got a special one for you. We have, this man is a legend here at the Guild. He is, if you need a jig or a fixture, he's the man you go to. He is a former Guild president. He has been the Guild training director and has been given the title by our current training director, Norm Carpenter, of Training Director Emeritus. I am thankful to be able to call him a friend and a mentor. I am one of his biggest fans. His name is David Kratz. Dave, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me. With that kind of introduction, I think maybe I better do us both a favor and quit while I'm ahead. We can cut this short. That's very generous of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to get you started like we start everybody. How did you get your start in woodworking?
Well, it's a long story. It was so long ago I almost don't remember, but I'll spare you most of the details and get to the woodworking. But I was born into a family of, shall we say, meager circumstances, and due to family marital problems, my mother and father separated when I was very young, so I didn't have any father figure in my life in the early years, and my mother and myself and my brother and sister had to move to my grandmother's house, and that started the whole thing in motion. You never know what's going to happen to you, but in those years, my uncle, my mother's brother, was an old bachelor, and or they called them old bachelors then. He was just a bachelor, unmarried, and always had been. And he was basically a journeyman cabinet maker, house builder, cotton gin operator, kind of not necessarily itinerant, but he accepted jobs wherever the jobs were, being a product of the Depression, and he kind of lived where he worked, either in a boarding house, rooming house, or with someone. And when he was working in our town nearby, he stayed at my grandmother's house, which was where we were. And he kind of took an interest in me, and I, of course, gravitated to him, being a man guy, and he did things that I was kind of fascinated with, and he overwintered at my grandmother's house when the year I was 7 years old. I was about 7.5, and he was rebuilding her kitchen. She had a small grease fire and did some damage, and he was rebuilding her kitchen. And of course, he was there like 2 or 3 months. And in the course of that building project, I was always nosing around his toolbox and following him around and wanting to know how to do stuff. And he presented me with a treasure. Most new woodworkers don't recognize this. I brought one along with me. This is a wireframe coping saw. I don't even know whether you can buy them anymore.
I haven't seen one like that in a long time.
Okay, he gave me one, not this one. I picked this up at an antique store just for nostalgia's sake. I don't know what happened to my original one, but under his tutelage, I learned how to use apple crate wood and this coping saw and a square he loaned me to make all kinds of little things. I made model airplanes, I made birdhouses, I made model boats, I made little shelves, I made boxes, and everything under the sun, little stools, and this is where I used the saw teeth to cut my teeth in woodworking. I made a lot of stuff out of apple crates, which don't exist anymore, as a matter of fact. But I lived in a country area, and the lady at the country grocery store about a quarter mile away saved apple boxes for me. And I took them down, and they were made out of nice wide pine boards, about 3/8 of an inch thick. And that was my original material. And over the course of the years, I gradually kind of accumulated my own toolbox. And whenever he was back in town, followed him around on different jobs, and I became very well trained and experienced in using chisels, planes, hand saws. I even learned how to sharpen hand saws, which is a skill that's long gone today. And so I was fortunate in having a very good mentor. And in I think my years 16, 17, 18, I worked as a carpenter's helper in the summertime and after school whenever I could. And by the time I was that age, I was very well versed in hand tools and construction techniques and that kind of stuff. And then it was off to school to learn how to do something else. And I spent my years in school not doing a whole lot of woodworking, but after school, I think I was about 23 or 24, I tackled woodworking again, and I built a small fishing boat, 12-foot dory type boat with, again, with hand tools. And I forgot to mention, back when I was 15 years old, I had a scout leader friend who had acquired, he was in the Navy, and he had acquired quite a lot of scrap lumber from jet engine cradles for some reason or other, and he got notified that he was to be reassigned, and he had this surplus lumber, and and he asked me if I wanted it. Certainly I wanted it. It's lumber. You can do woodworking with that. And I built me a 12 by 14 workshop in my mother's backyard with this scrap lumber, again with the hand tools. I did not have any power tools at this time. And then, like I said, it was off to school. And then after school, I built a number of different things with hand tools, moved to Kansas City, and I was kind of casting around for a pastime. I had a very demanding job, and I was looking for some place to hide, and I bought my own, my first power tool was a Ward's radial arm saw. And as a matter of fact, I still have it. It's still a good saw, and it's like any other tool. If you're careful with it, you won't hurt yourself. Right. But I used that saw, and over the years I've built all manner of things: tables, benches, my dining table, a corner hutch, a wardrobe, a number of chests. I built another boat. Well, along the way, I've built just about everything under the sun that you can build, and whenever I see something I'd kind of like, I build it. I've always favored the craftsman style furniture, shaker furniture, and American country furniture. I don't go in for a lot of the fancy carved furniture. It's not that I don't think it's beautiful and it takes a lot of skill to do. It's just that it's not me, so I don't do that. But that's where I got started. I'm still going strong. I still really respect the hand tools, even though I use a lot of power machinery to make the work easier.
How did you come to the guild?
Well, that's again, almost by accident. I didn't know about the guild. I was known in woodworking circles in the Kansas City area because of some of the things I was doing, and I was acquainted with the people at Paxton's and Shooties under the old management, and I was known in Kansas City. I had demonstrated in a number of woodworking shows, and I conducted Dulcimer classes for the Parks Department and for Paxton's, and woodworkers knew me, and I knew quite a few woodworkers, and I was acquainted with some of the suppliers. And one of my friends called me up and said, "Hey, there's a Woodworkers Guild forming. Are you interested?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I didn't know about it." And he said, "Well, go with me still met on Wednesday evening." He said, "Go with me. It was get acquainted meeting." And so I went to the meeting, which was held in a prospective members workshop. We didn't have a regular meeting place at that point in time. And I went and got acquainted with the guys and started doing demos and made a lot of friends, and I'm still here.
Well, through the years, you've become known around here as the Guild's jig master. You've even earned the praise of Nancy Hiller. And what is your secret?
I don't know how to answer that, Kevin. There is no secret to jig making. You just do it. That tag came from the Guild, and when we did our original Andres project for the I think it was about 90 Swiss peasant board chairs, and one of the characteristics of these chairs is they had 8-sided tapered legs, which is a very tedious piece of woodworking to execute if you know what that might look like. It's just a stick, but it's tapered, and it's got 8 facets on the leg, and it's got a tenon turned at the top. And we needed a way. You can imagine 90 chairs, that's 360 legs. How do you make those? So I set my mind to it, and I made the jig to make those 8-sided tapered legs, and it worked out very, very well. And as a consequence of that, on follow-on Andres projects, I made a number of other jigs. One for routing the splat back, one for routing the seat to back joinery. I made the jig for the complex angle drilling the bolsters for putting the legs under the seat, and I made the jig for making the little tusk pins that go in the through tenon for the tables. So over the several Andres projects, and oh yes, I made the jigs for routing the inlay on the tabletops. We made a number of 2, 4, and 6 place tables, and they were made out of maple with a cherry inlay around the edge banding. So I made all of those jigs, and they turned out very well. And Jim Bainey
and we're back. So we just had some refreshments, dancing girls, dancing men, had the raffle, and we have no guest speaker. Tonight was supposed to be Daniel from Rockler. Regrettably, he's not here tonight. He would have received this nice mug. I know we had rescheduled him to this date from sometime last year. So perhaps the third time's the charm. We'll get Daniel from Rockler to come out and see us. Next month's demo will be Dennis Bixby. So, David Roth, did you bring any tools tonight? You could do a demo? Otherwise, all right, well, since we have no program tonight, we'll see you all next month then. All right. Sorry about that.
Call ahead, stay prepared.
A special thank you to our guest today, to the Guild's Leadership Committee, and to all of our sponsors. For more information about the Guild, upcoming classes, and events, please visit our website kcwg.org. You can also find us on social media by searching for Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. And remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications.